Oregon City Library Board meeting will come to order at 5:02. In attendance are Ken Hall, Larry Osborne, Cynthia Andrews, Nick Dirkman, and Carrie Linder, as well as library staff Maureen Cole and Denise Butcher. The first item of business is approval of the minutes, which you should have received last week. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, we'll move on to item number 3, public comments. And I don't see the public lining up, unfortunately. So we'll move straight to number 4,
Take that as a good sign.
the library director's report.
Good evening, library board. Welcome to almost fall. So this past August was a very healthy month at the library. Our statistics have been just kind of going crazy. In August, we again reached over 41,000 in our door count, which means that every month this summer was over 41,000 for the first time ever. You may remember July was almost 44,000, so that's crazy. And, you know, I had to pay off a lot of people to run in and out of those doors. Anyway, so, circulation is looking really good too. It's over like 50,000 or something. It's just really, everything looks really healthy there. And, summer reading ended last day of August. The last 2 weeks of August, we were on a hiatus of children's programming. And all of this allows the staff to kind of take a deep breath and get some, you know, energy behind them for the coming fall and look over the summer reading statistics, which, you know, since we're not really going to look at that, Scott, I'm jumping the program or the agenda here, but since we're not really going to look at that presentation that Barrett sent, I mean, you got the full rundown of how everything is going, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, over the last 3 years, she's made such a huge difference in that children's program for the summer, and with she and Sabrina take turns going up to the schools at the very end of the year to tell kids about it. We have got such great attendance at the summer concerts outside on Wednesdays. So it's just going great. And the summer reading program for adults is going really, really good too. And we had 127 more adults sign up this year than last year. And as I was telling the Friends of the Library board earlier, one of the really great things about the adult summer reading program this year is that it was designed so that it was a little more inclusive. So we realized at some point, as I told you about, that we really were not designing things with adults with disabilities, particularly adults with intellectual disabilities. So Gina and Jen really worked on that this year to make it inclusive for everybody and have options for everybody. And what was really heartwarming and rewarding for us is that an adult with disabilities did win one of the major prizes, and she was absolutely thrilled to death. Was it the spa one that she chose? I think so. Yeah. And so that just for us, it was kind of a validation that we were like heading in the right direction with that and being inclusive. So that also felt really, really good. We did change up one of the toddler times so that now the 3 days of the week that we have children's programs, they're all the same time, 10:15 and 11:30. Those, so parents and caregivers can count on those times. And then also we've done a lot to place our 15-hour-a-week new assignments with their departments. So we've got circulation, adult services, youth services, and tech services placed. And then we're still considering like what we want to do. We still have the hours set aside for Denise and I to share somebody particularly she needs help. So I think that people have started like just maybe one full week of doing that stuff, 2 full weeks.
A couple of them,
Yeah.
or 2 or 3.
Yeah, the ones that like got out ahead of this and started first on the interviews. So I think that's gonna turn out to be like really, really supportive of those individual departments. And then it also creates just a little bit of a cushion so that the next director can like kind of take everything we're doing and maybe put some actual full-time jobs together with it. You know, maybe they want to turn a whole bunch of this on-call stuff into more, between the 20 to 48 hour a week position, who knows? But I think there's a little bit of wiggle room in there to do that, if that's how they want to. This gives us a lot of flexibility, but they can figure it out better, more power to them, and there might be ways to do it, so. Library of Things is coming, it launches next week, right, Denise?
It does on Tuesday.
Very, very exciting, yes. So it will, just come out like about 25 items at once?
Yeah. 25 to 30 on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, and then on Friday.
Okay. We have 117 items total.
Yep.
So right now, we're still getting the record set up. They each have to have pictures and instruction manuals online, like in their catalog record, if they include instruction manuals.
So what kind of things?
So we have a lot of cooking pans. So I was just looking at the list. Some specialized cooking pans, tent, telescope, metal detectors, a lot of games, puzzles and board games. What else?
Like household things like a stud finder and, little tools like that. Oh gosh, we've been staring at this stuff for so long now, it's hard to remember.
Yeah. So just quite a variety, and we'll be adding to that because we still have only spent about half of the grant that we
Yep.
received from the Department of Sustainability up at the county. So that's who's kind of helping fund this initial part of it. We got a grant for over $9,000. And it's kind of set up so that we buy something and then we get reimbursed for it, right?
Yep.
And it is done through the Link office, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that good accountability stuff going on because we're pretty much treating it like a grant, so,
It's gonna be
So
great.
how are they listed? Are they just listed in the catalog? Or how do you search for what you have?
So you can search for Library of Things, but also when it goes live off of the Link webpage, there will be a link that says Library of Things, and then it will take you to a separate page, and it'll be broken down into the categories like kitchenware, games, etc. And then you click on which category you want, and then all of the items that all of the Clackamas County libraries have will be listed. So it should be pretty easy to find stuff.
How long is the checkout time?
7 days.
7 days?
it's gonna be really interesting to see how it gets used. Right now, you can't place holds on things. So it's kind of, and it would be tricky to like, let's say you have a birthday party coming up and you want to use the karaoke machine for your birthday party, but your birthday party is a specific weekend. So like arranging to have it when you need it is still gonna be kind of tricky to do through the library. But, it hopefully will work out for enough people that it will be valuable. Yeah. We could have a karaoke party, you guys.
We do have a karaoke machine.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, Christmas is coming, The job announcement should be posted no later than the 23rd. We're still working on that just a little bit. Thank you for your input on that. And we will do a national thing through ALA, American Library Association, so that's good too. As you know, I leave next Wednesday, late at night, taking the red eye to New York City for our son's wedding. So I'll be gone for over a week. Denise will be in charge while I'm gone. Probably runs more smoothly without me. Just want to let you know that Anne is still working on the door of the community room, but progress has been made. Unfortunately, she'll probably get that done, and then that will trigger us to like start our part where we like actually deal with a policy around that, you know, or instructions on like how to, you know, teach somebody what to do or whatever. So I'm kind of like, you know, very good at compartmentalizing, and it's like, when the door is done, I will start on da-da-da-da-da, so then it will still be a little bit more time. Because like right now, I'm working on the state report, as, you know, was gonna be one of those topics that got brought up here, but we didn't get the statistics for that from Link until last Friday. So I'm still working on it. So I'll make sure you guys see a copy of it, but that, and then the reports for LDAC, and we could look at those next month, but they'll be like done by then.
I had a question on the community room.
Yeah.
I remember the statistics, right? There was like 10 or 12 uses of it last month.
Something like that.
Is that meeting expectation? I don't know what,
Well, so a lot of the time, that is non-library use. Those
Okay.
numbers are non-library uses.
Okay.
So, I don't count, library uses the community room a lot,
okay,
like virtually every day.
okay.
And so I just had to come up with it's a new statistic actually that the state library is asking us for of use of meeting rooms. And my statistic for last year was over 1,400 uses. Now that included upstairs, which may have like, each room might have 5 reservations per day. That's not library. You know what I mean? So the upstairs stuff adds up really fast, the downstairs less, but we use it a lot. So,
Thanks.
yeah. And then just so you know, at the commission meeting next week, and I won't be at it, Chief Band will be talking, we'll be providing some information about the impact of, homeless people on the city. And it's strictly like kind of a high level, you know, cleaning up camps, impact on parks, that kind of thing, you know. So I did include a couple of slides about the library and our experience with them. Denise and I went back and looked at the last few years of incident reports, and probably we came up with like kind of more or less from 2015 through this year so far. Incidences are growing in number, and typically about half of them involve people without homes, but that means the other half involve people with homes. And we don't ask somebody, you know, specifically, oh, are you homeless? You know, that's not how we operate at the library. So sometimes, honestly, we're guessing. We know a lot of people, but, you know, we might know their name and still not know for sure if they're homeless or they're just like, you know, couch surfing or whatever they're doing. And they might be working homeless too. That happens as well. So it was just kind of to provide the commission with kind of an idea of how we intersect with the homeless at the library. Other ways that we intersect with the homeless is we do get training for working with the homeless. We will be having a training on that in October when we close for 3 days. And one of those days will be a training on that. Also, we get training on working with mentally ill. And I would probably say it's the intersection of those two things. That's the biggest problem. It's not the homeless. It's not because you're homeless that you're a problem. It's because you have mental health issues that maybe are not being addressed. That's usually when things get out of hand, and they tend to be the more explosive kinds of things. Otherwise, people have problems, all kinds of people have problems, right? But, so those are, just so you know, that's happening. That's about it on the report. Any questions? Thank you.
Want to move on then to item 6,
Sure.
the Link Final Strategic Plan.
Yeah, now, maybe I'm making this up, but I showed you this before, right? Okay, thank God. So I wanted to let you know that, here's my copy of it. We adopted this for what it's worth. And we are gonna be using this in like, we're gonna have a retreat in early November. We're gonna be using this in our all-staff day in mid-October for all the staff and all in the entire county. We're gonna be using this to help direct projects down to committees. And that's one of the big things that we'll be doing when we have our retreat, is to like really look at this from a project point of view and get things started. And then the other really big thing that this requires us to do is think about what is offered from the central office and what is offered from the libraries. And where does it make the most sense to offer something centrally and most cost effective? And then how to work with Link to encourage or to like make sure that they've got the funding for that, wherever that comes from. And, you know, what we really like it to come from is the county's general fund, because then the libraries don't have to pick it up. So, however, the county is cutting their budget this year. So these are not just givens, you know? So we have to work within people's existing budgets and stuff, but we want to be efficient, and sometimes offering things centrally is the best way to offer things. So there's a lot of projects and a lot of dates. This is a living document, just like our strategic plan is a living document. It's my hope that people continue to look at this on a regular basis, and some things probably just aren't practical to do on this timeline, but if you don't stick a date on it, you've got, you know, no incentive to keep moving towards it, right? So, this has been shared, I think, with staff, hasn't it? I think so, at least in a draft form, yeah. And, anyway, we'll be doing that formally at the training, and I just wanted you to get your eyes on it and comment, and you can comment, of course, anytime if you see something on here. But, you know, just to remind you, we originally started off with this idea of like, well, we're going into these big task force meetings. Don't you think it would be a good idea to help educate everybody that's attending those meetings on what we believe should be our direction as a library as a whole? You know, so like, these are our areas of priority we think are super important. These are the projects that we think we should be like working towards. So I just think it like, this has a lot of information in it when you think of it that way. And, you know, it's like, we're the library professionals, so we need to be able to like organize our thoughts and be able to communicate this to a group of people who are not the library professionals in the room. So we think it'll be a really helpful tool for those big task force conversations as well. Any questions on this?
Nope.
All righty, it's perfect, yay.
All right, we'll move on to
It's gonna be a fast meeting.
appointment of board members, item number 7.
Okay, so this happens every year. We have to think about people who are rotating off the board or wanting to stay on the board. As you know, Cynthia, by the time she got on the board, she had like 8 months or something of a term, because it was like 3+ years into DA's term. And he was on for 2, and then he dropped off. 2, 1, whatever, then he dropped off. So I have written to her and Scott, gotten no answers, and that's okay, you don't have to talk about it tonight if you don't want to.
Oh, I've turned in
An application, perfect, okay, I didn't know. I'm sure Susie will also reapply for her position, because I think she's only had like 6 months or whatever,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
right? Unless she really doesn't like it, which would be a bad sign. So we will be fortunate enough to have multiple applicants this year. And what we typically do is come up with the questions and then set up appointments and send people these questions ahead of time, so everybody's all on the same playing field. So these were the questions from last year. And what we usually do is just kind of go through them and say, how should these change for next year? What's different? And to be honest, I have not even looked at these at all. I was just like looking at Claudia's, the assistant city recorder's timeline, and she's like, oh, you should be interviewing in October or something. I'm like, whoa, we like sometimes don't even interview till December. But, you know, the sooner we get our act together, the sooner we can do something, or that at least gives options to the people that want to apply.
Could you say again who's going off the board?
Scott would be rotating off of a 4-year term, so we'd have to reapply for another 4-year term, because you can have up to 2. And Suzanne Jefferson, because she was just filling the very, very end of somebody else's term. So she can come back for another full term as well.
And these people have to go through the full interview process?
You get a chair, the committee when I'm being interviewed.
Yeah, isn't that what we've always done? Just had people go through the full interview process? Pretty sure. Seems fair, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
I should recuse myself then,
Oh,
to figure that out too.
I think people are gonna see these questions anyway,
Yeah,
so I don't know that that really matters for this part,
okay.
talking about the questions. Yeah, if they were blind, as far as like not getting these ahead of time, yeah, then you'd be out of here. But everybody gets them ahead of time, and so,
But when we talk about him,
yes, but when we talk about, actually.
He'll be there.
Actually, that's the thing, they're open meetings and anybody can be in during anybody else's interview. We can't refuse to allow people in here, but we usually just ask out of courtesy that people just, let people interview individually. We talk about this every year because it always feels so awkward.
So what is the closing date for applicants?
It's actually September 30th.
Is it really?
Yes.
Didn't realize it.
But we have yet to turn somebody down if they if they turned it in late, especially when we didn't have applications. But we'll have some this year, obviously. Yeah. So, any ideas?
Looked fine to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with them.
I mean, yeah. it's-
I think we changed them around some last year because of the library.
Yeah, because the library is built.
That
I
was-
mean, it says, like, number 3 says, the new library edition is now open. Yeah, it's been open for almost 3 years now. So,
I want to incorporate a question about the Library of Things, or maybe how they would help to raise awareness of that, or how they can see the community using that well, or. Because we asked them what library collection they particularly use.
you could just tag that right on there. You could say, are there any special areas of the library collection? How would you raise awareness for that collection, or really of anything in the library in some respects?
On number 4, what's the role of the library within the community? We might want to ask, how do you see your role as a board member?
That's not really in there anywhere, is it?
No,
I think that's actually a really important question. It probably should be a separate question because, like raising awareness of collections, advocacy, all those kinds of things are like, well, what should a board member be doing when they're not just at the library board meeting, All right, well, why don't I massage those a little bit, send it back out to you, and, Katie, you can send me your thoughts via email if you have any more. And I'm not sure we're gonna have any interviews in October. I would rather shoot for November myself. I think that's soon enough. I think that's plenty soon enough, actually. Is that okay? Yeah.
Depends on who applies. I'm just kidding. I mean, we can make it easy, is what I'm saying, if everything falls in place. How's that? Seriously, we could get it behind us.
Well, yes, we could get it behind us, yeah. Or we could offer them October or November and like say, this is gonna be the regular time, so if this doesn't work for you, that's gonna be a problem.
I don't remember this happening much, but what will happen though with Susie and I we'll have to leave here and not take part in the questioning.
I don't remember it happening
position.
either. I will ask Katie.
Okay.
Okay.
Because then I would think one of us should step back when they're discussing who to choose as well. It's not, you know, I don't know, that's.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
Scott, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to item 8, discussion about LDAC alternate.
So Nick and I were thinking, some of the other libraries have appointed a backup person in case Nick could not attend one of the LDAC meetings. And we were thinking that might be a good assignment to make in case it happens. Want to say anything else, Nick?
I mean, it's just that it does take some time to really understand how the library district works, and we'll be, you know, in the task force, but we still have, the LDAC will still be functioning also. So I think it would be really helpful for somebody to understand how it's set up now, and then as it moves forward, what those changes are, and, you know, and possibly be involved in the task force, not knowing exactly how that's going to work out. But I think I just think it'd be helpful, and, you know, I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to be here for the whole time, so, you know, you never know. And it definitely took me some time to really get my arms around it. And again, part of it is also with you leaving. And we're losing a huge knowledge base about how that works. And your role is, you know, I think we're going to have to be more attentive to what's going on in LDAC to some extent.
I've been giving that some thought too. You know, it's not like I'm running out of town immediately, so I probably could continue to help if we could decide what is appropriate. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We'd all have to agree that that was like the right thing to do. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Talking about tonight is the potential of naming an alternate to LDAC, so that if Nick couldn't go or something, we'd still have somebody to send, or potentially participate in the big task force conversations. Anybody have a special yen to like be involved in this fascinating aspect of our library world? A very special and unique group because of our special and unique organizational structure.
Not commenting on that specific part.
Okay.
But in general, wouldn't the alternate, in order to be effective, almost have to also attend all the meetings on which he was not the original or the main representative?
Probably, I think that's a good point. Probably so, and I don't know about the alternates that are from other libraries.
I think some of them attend. I mean, I think it varies from library to libraries. I don't think the alternate necessarily attends every meeting. But if I knew if one of you were involved, and, you know, if you're not at the meeting, I could definitely talk with you and get you up to speed on what happened at that meeting.
I was just thinking in light of your comments about taking some time to get up to speed, that if the person hadn't had the background, having the person attend, it would be less effective.
So, and the other thing I would say is that the meetings are less frequent. Like, they're not monthly by any stretch of the imagination, not the LDAC meetings anyway. The task force, who knows what's gonna happen with that. But LDAC is like once every 3 months. But they tend to be a lot harder meetings than, like, for instance, sitting through a foundation or a Friends meeting. You know what I mean? It's not always a friendly crowd.
It can get contentious.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I would be interested in doing that. It comes closer to my area of expertise than other areas do.
I think you'd be good at it, Larry. I think you'd be great.
I just volunteered for something.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you.
You did, and it's really not that frequent. Okay, so,
I mean, and it is very interesting to learn about it and also to know that, you know, we're in a sense, we're an advisory committee to the county commissioners. And so we.
That's what that is.
We definitely have some influence in terms of how they view things and, you know, so I think it'd be, I think it'd be really interesting for somebody to, Larry, I think would be.
so having said that, you don't have to go to this meeting, but I won't be there. Nick will be all by his lonesome self, unless it gets canceled, and it might get canceled.
know.
But there's a meeting scheduled for the 23rd, Monday, the 23rd at 7.
But we don't have an agenda at this
But we don't have an agenda, and it might get canceled. And you wouldn't be invited to sit at the big table because you wouldn't be official yet.
Right.
So they're very like sticky about things for some reason. Maybe I'm making that up, but that's what it feels like. But I need to also ask what process we need to go through, probably the same process as we did through Nick. And I don't know if that means the city commissioners first have to approve you and then the county commissioners have to approve you, whatever. Let me find out.
I'm not under indictment for anything.
At the moment.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
not sure if everyone knows, but I'm also on the budget committee for the library district. So that's.
At least you were
one-
this last year.
One meeting a year, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
We'll move on then to agenda item number 9, communications. And let's just stick with the LDAC. And Nick, you have
I think we've just updated it.
all right. Thank you. And we'll go to the foundation.
Well, as I indicated, I think at the last meeting, the library will be a proud partner with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library Project. And I think all of you are aware what that project does, and it's pretty exciting to be looking forward to being a part of that. And there will be a kickoff event for that, for the fundraising by the foundation for that project, and that will be October 18th. I hope you all have that on your calendars. If you did not already, you will no doubt be getting some kind of email or letter from the foundation. And I would encourage you all to come with open hearts and open wallets.
All right, Cynthia.
Okay, let's be blunt about it.
Why
All right,
not?
The
People need to
event
know
is
what they're
from
getting
6 to
into.
9 at the Pioneer Center right here in Oregon City. We'll feature the Ellen White Band, and they're very good. So we anticipate a couple of hundred people, and there'll be hearty hors d'oeuvres served. The caterer will be the caterers out of Clackamas Community College, and Karen and I met with them this morning.
That's right.
And they're going to be suggesting a menu for us by the end of the week. So the printed materials are in process. We have a designer that has worked with us on that, and so things are moving right along. And there's quite a bit of energy around that, and people are very supportive as we've talked it up around the community, and I'm sure you'll be hearing more in your various roles about this.
All right, thank you, Cynthia. Let's go to Ken with the report on Friends of the Library.
Friends of the Library seem to be doing quite well. They've got more money than to donate to good causes. And a woman called Barrett, I don't know her.
Barrett Miller, our youth services librarian.
Okay,
She's the one who prepared that big report that you
right.
sent, yeah.
Anyway, she was asking for some funds for the transportation of first graders who families cannot afford the $5 to transport them to the library for the library visits. And she she did a very good, thorough job of figuring out how much she might need. And this is not to pay for every kid, it's to pay for kids who families probably could not afford it. And they promised up to $1,000, and I think if Barrett asked for a little more, they'd give it to her.
They would give her anything, I think.
And also, she
They're so good.
asks for funds for the summer reading program for next year. And she did a good job of showing what other people will probably be donating and to help out this things and all the costs. And the friends committed themselves to $2,500, and if it comes up higher, I'm sure they'd give it to them. So they have done quite well recently. The 2 months without paying rent that they had did them quite well, because it would be gave them $6,000 that they didn't have to spend. So I think they're doing a great job and a great service for the community.
I think that the new location is working out really well for them.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, really well. I think they're very comfortable in there. It's more visibility, et cetera, more manageable overall, and more money, I think, just a little bit, enough more that it's adding up. And then just to give you a little context on the Barrett's request for the schools, she invites all first graders to come to the library with their school groups, so with their school classes. So she gets in touch with the first grade teachers. And one of the teachers said to her, "We actually don't have a budget for transportation at our school. Is there anything that you know about that could help with this?" And Barrett's like, "Well, we don't have a pot of money sitting around for that, but let me ask." So I steered her towards the Friends, because I thought they would really like to be able to help get first graders into the library, because it's a very strategic visit. You know, it's early in their school career. It gets them really excited about what the library offers, et cetera. So Barrett figured out along the lines of how many kids were doing the reduced school lunch, and kind of that way figured out like how much each of those schools could use, depending on the percentage of those children at that school and the numbers of first graders. So she kind of added that up all the way across the school district and came up with this like $1,000 figure. Not every school will ask for it, but what she can do is let them know that we have bus scholarship money available up to a certain amount for each like class. And then the teacher can work it out. However, he or she has to work it out with their transportation at their school. So whether it's $0 for that child, or whether it's just $1 or $2 for that child, however they work out their field trips, then we can like help make that happen because of the Friends now. So it will be the first time, I think this last year was the first time we ever had all the first graders even come to the library on intentional field trips like that. So this will be the first time we'll be able to like tell the teachers, we actually have funding, a little bit of funding available for each classroom if that is what you need to get here, and make that work better for those students.
Even though they didn't give numbers of this occurrence, but the kids go home, they tell their parents or whoever they're with about the library, and they eventually drag that person back to the library, and these people may get a
Library
card.
We send, each child goes home with a library card application, and a lot of them come back with their caregivers. So it's a really smart way of using the school and the library resources to bring kids together with the library. And now with the Friends' help, we can do it even better, so.
And there was some discussion about some of the schools don't have libraries or have very minimal library services at the school.
Right,
And people are just trying to figure out how to take care of that situation.
Yeah. So Barrett got in touch last year with the district librarian, who used to be the high school librarian. Now he's kind of wearing two hats, although he has more help at the library now because he's high school and district librarian. But he has been really great as far as wanting to be involved with the public library. And so they have every other month meetings of all the instructional aides who run the libraries, all at the elementary schools, at all the schools actually. They come to our library for the meeting, so Barrett or Sabrina can sit in on those meetings and talk with them about how the library can help and how we can best work together. And then at these meetings, Barrett hears about how like these poor instructional aides are doing like 10 different things in addition to running the libraries. They may not have book budgets, et cetera. So because of that and the Friends getting all these donations all the time, we're trying to figure out how we can put them together to maybe give free books to the school through the Friends, you know? So a couple of the Friends are gonna attend a meeting that's gonna be held at the library, the bi-monthly meeting at the library of these school librarians on Monday, and see if that would work. Because actually, they have too many books sometimes that they don't have room for and they're getting rid of them, you know? So,
A great deal of excess
yep,
children's books.
yep, for some reason, yeah.
All right, thank you, Ken. Next item is future agenda items.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's going on between Canby and Oregon City as far as,
Well, funny you should ask that. So they continue to want to push the idea of discussing the service area boundary ahead of the big task force meetings. So they've talked to individual county commissioners about this, and at last word, I heard that no county commissioner agrees with this approach, and they want to keep the topic of service area boundaries included in the big task force conversations, where it can be talked about as a whole, you know, like, because there are other jurisdictions that want to be looking at those. So we want to collect the data for it and talk about it at the appropriate time when everybody can be involved and we can look at it big picture. So I think it's all going to be okay. Good question, though.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for asking. I meant to update you on that.
Any other future agenda items we need to discuss?
No, other than I'll, provide you with the reports I didn't provide. And we'll be talking to some applicants at some point.
Okay.
I'd kind of like to know the outcome of the discussion about security that's happening at the city level, with the chief band and.
Oh, the homeless?
What?
The homeless?
Yeah. I'd just kind of like to know how that discussion is generally went and
Okay.
what the impact on the library might be.
Well, I don't think the impact on the library will change from what the impact currently is. He's really providing information to them about the resources that are used, because they're trying to get a high-level look at, like, how much is it costing the city to have a growing number of homeless people within Oregon City? How much does it cost to be cleaning up these camps? How much are we having to fix at the parks repeatedly? That kind of thing. How much of our attention is being diverted? So really has nothing to do with security as far as I know.
So it's not really a solution-oriented discussion, it's just a problem-oriented discussion
Well,
at this
yeah,
moment.
it's they asked for some information, and he's just providing them with
Okay.
information at this point.
Okay,
So I won't be there that night, but if anything comes of it, I will certainly let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if anyone's interested, you can watch it online. They stream it.
Which I will not be doing on vacation
And
or after,
Also, you
because
can
they are very boring meetings,
also
but
go back and review it if you want to.
Is there any unfinished or additional business? Since there is no further business, the meeting is adjourned.